Hello everyone, welcome to another live stream. Lar from Complete Test Success here. So what we're doing today is just a Q&A. So if you don't know what that is, that's questions and answers. So basically you tell me whatever questions you have and I will answer them. Or you might not have a specific question. It might be the case where you're having some problem or there's something you're finding difficult, or there's some information that you cannot find. So if you just want to, explain your situation, explain your problem, rather than ask a question, I'd be more than happy to help you with that as well. And that's basically what we're here for. Any questions you have about IELTS, any problems you're having with IELTS, just let me know. And I'll be happy to help. While we're getting ready, let me just share a link with you here. I also have what I call free live feedback lessons. So they're my group classes on Zoom every week. So if you're not already registered for that, you can click on that link and sign up. So they're every week. And then there's Zoom lessons where obviously, here you can type your questions, but obviously in the Zoom lessons, you can discuss more openly. So it's a bit easier to get your ideas across. So those focus on reading, listening, writing task 1 for general training and academic, speaking, and also writing task 2. So everything. Inger, hello to you. I'm good in other modules, but facing problem in writing. Okay. So that would be very, that's a very open, broad, problem to have. So the first thing you'll need to do is figure out more specifically what is the problem you're having with writing. So is your problem with task 1 or is your problem with task 2? Then let's say we find out your problem is in task 2. And this is basically what I do with my students. The students on my course will look at their writing, figure out where their problems are, focus on those. So that's what you need to do, is you need to understand what your issues are. So let's say we find out that your problem is with task 2, your task 1 is perfect. That's not a concern. So all your attention will go into task 2. But then after that is the problem with task achievement, coherence, cohesion, vocab, or grammar. So let's say we discover it's task achievement. So now you're not working on the 4 bands in task 1. You're only working on 1 band in task 2. But then again, what is it about task achievement? So it might be that, you're not analyzing the question carefully enough. You're not planning your essay carefully enough. It might be you're coming up with ideas, but your ideas are too vague, or perhaps your ideas are too specific. So if that's the problem, then we know to work on that and to practice that. Or it could be that you're not developing your ideas appropriately. You might be mentioning what the outcome is, or you might be explaining it outside the context of the question. So again, based on the mistakes you're making, we would know what action you need to take to improve your scores. But just to say that you're having a problem in writing, I can't give you the specific advice on what it is you need to improve without checking your writing. But that's what you need to do. You need to figure out what is the specific problem you're having with writing, and then the action that you need to take will become clearer after that. Hi, Mohammed. Good to see you here again. Inger, no problem. Hey, Marvik. Hey, Janice. Good to see you here. Felix. Hi, I sat for my exam over the weekend waiting for the results. Okay. Best of luck with that, Felix. I know everyone gets very nervous between sitting the exam and getting the results. And the question my students will always say, I'm after making, all they can think about is the mistakes that they've made during their test. The very typical response is, I did that thing, and that must mean I'm not getting my scores. Or I remember, I did this thing, I didn't do this as well as I could have done it. And again, that means I'm not going to get my scores. Everybody gets really worried. But just because you're worried does not mean you won't get your scores. I mean, I have students who do the test and they don't get their scores, students who do the test and they do get their scores, but most students have the same experience in that waiting period. So I would say take a break, take a little break. You've been working hard towards improving your scores and making sure that you do well on test day. So I think a little break between test day and the scores coming out is generally a good idea, unless you have some specific deadline that, if you don't get your scores, you need to go straight back and do the test again, in which case you might want to just work on vocabulary or something like that. Hi, yes, sir. Good to see you here. Inger, thanks for your guidance. I'm facing a problem in paragraph making. Also, I'm not in touch with study from last 10 years, and now I'm facing spelling problems also. Okay, so spelling would be something, spelling is actually quite a serious issue for reading and listening as well. Listening more so, because you can't see the spelling. You can't copy it from the text. With spelling, what you want to do is write essays and then use, a spell checker. Like Microsoft Word has a spell checker, or you can use Grammarly that'll check your spelling. So it's basically you have to relearn the words that you're spelling incorrectly. So I would just advise you, you're saying that you need to work on writing already. So you're just going to practice whatever task 1, task 2 essays you need to practice. Paste your answer into a spell checker, or you'll even find them online if you don't have Word or Grammarly, and make a note of every spelling mistake you make, and then learn every one of them individually. It's time consuming. And even finding the words that you're spelling correctly is more time consuming than learning the correct spelling. Because you'll know thousands and thousands of words already. So how can you discover each spelling mistake? So it does require quite a bit of effort to find which ones you need to relearn. Then you say you're facing problems in paragraph making. So again, that I wouldn't be 100% clear on what the specific issue is there. So is it that you don't understand what information belongs in each paragraph? So, like IELTS teachers, including myself, will have structures that you can follow. So first sentence in your paragraph you should write this, it should have this information. Second sentence, it should have this information. Third sentence should have this information. So if you're not already following a structure, that would be the issue. You need to, follow my structure, or, if there's another IELTS teacher you prefer, follow their structures. So if that's the issue, that's what you need to do. But if it's because you're talking, let's say, about the body paragraphs and you don't know how to develop them, that's about planning. So that's to do with, making sure that you plan your essay, and you always have to check, are your ideas relevant? Are they specific? Is the development relevant and specific? Are the examples relevant and specific? So writing a plan first will make it much, much easier to have the ideas you need when you're writing the essay than trying to think of the ideas while you're writing. I know a lot of students and a lot of candidates, they don't see the benefit in writing a plan. And this happens a lot with students on my writing course, where I teach them to write a plan. They think it's not necessary, that they can do okay without it, and that's typical. I mean, most students think that, and I remember thinking that when I was in school myself. But if I can look at the essay and go, I can see by the mistakes you're making that you didn't write a plan, and normally, after seeing the scores that they get as a result of not writing a plan, that normally convinces my students to start doing that. So I would imagine it's going to be one of those things. You're not writing a plan, or you're not writing a plan effectively, or you're not following the structures provided by an IELTS expert. And if it's none of those things, let me know and I'll have more advice for you. Mohammedi, hello. Hey, Leo. Good to see you here. Hello, sir. I have commented many times in your free speaking test, but can't get a chance. Could you please give me a chance? No, so I'm not going to choose one person over another. I would never, you know, be unfair and say yes you can and somebody else can't. I would never do that. But I mean it's just as fair that I wouldn't do the same thing to another student instead of you. So no, I would never choose a specific person instead of doing it randomly. I don't believe in that. However, what I have done is I've moved over. So what I'm doing from now on is the students who subscribed, my email subscribers, I'm going to be picking from my email subscribers from now on. So let me just share the link here. So from now on, you don't need to. I'm probably going to stop making that post every Sunday. I'm just gonna looking at the images on my my Facebook page and my YouTube community. It's just clogged up with speaking test, looky draw, speaking test, looky draw, and I'm just looking at it. It's like a wall of the same image. So I'm going to stop doing that. So from now on, anyone who wants to join my speaking test lucky draw, you just register your email, subscribe to my email list one time, and you'll be in the lucky draw every week. So I think it's just a bit more efficient than posting the same thing every Sunday. So yeah, if you want to, or if you haven't already subscribed, you can use the link there. And if you have, then you don't need to do anything else. Mahabdi, how can I improve my accent? So there will be specific things that you're doing that are reducing your pronunciation score. So again, I'd have to do a speaking test with you, but it could be like it might be that you're pronouncing some sounds incorrectly. It might be that there are some consonant clusters that you're struggling with. Like very common is students who don't have any sentence stress. They just stress each word equally instead of stressing the words that should be stressed. So that's something you need to get a band 7. So generally, like when students are looking for a band 7 and it's a pronunciation problem, normally it's going to be sentence stress, but not always. It would depend on your circumstances. Some people start speaking really quickly when they get nervous, and that makes it difficult to understand what they're saying. So I've had quite a few students who just need to like pay more attention to how quickly they're speaking, and that has improved their scores. So again, like I was saying with Inger about the writing earlier on, it just depends on what specific problem you have with pronunciation, and then once you know that, you take action on that specific problem. Hey bro, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Thanks, Mohammed. Doing good. Could you explain introduction structure in the IELTS test? So you're talking about IELTS writing task 2, I presume. And the introduction is just going to be paraphrase of the question statement. So you rewrite the question in your own words. The biggest mistake students make in that is they feel like they cannot use any words from the question. They end up using words that don't have any meaning or don't have the meaning that they want to convey. So the paraphrase has a different meaning or no meaning. That's the main issue with the paraphrase. The second thing is an outline statement. In the outline statement, you'll give your opinion if you are asked for one. If you were not asked for one, you will not give your opinion. And then you give the main ideas you're going to include in your essay. And that's it. Those are the two components, paraphrase and outline. Nothing more, nothing less. That's enough to get you up to a band 9. Back hit. Hello to you. Good morning. First time here. Excellent. Good to have you here. Leo from Uzbekistan. Great. Okay. Farida. I took my exam last Saturday. Writing task 2 is about being good at math is related to people nature rather than teaching they have. Do you agree or disagree? Okay. So, and I'll just say, and this is really, really important, because when, and you're not doing this on purpose, Farida, but what you said, I can guess what the question was. That's not the exact wording of the question. And I see a lot of students, like, let's say somebody's done the test and they say this was the question, but the question isn't worded the exact same, so it's not that clear, and it's not intentional. Candidates are not, like, if you finish the IELTS test, you're trying to help other students. You're saying, here was the question from my test. But when the wording is different, it can be confusing. And I've seen a lot of students get really confused by questions they found online and not realize that the questions are reported by other students, not the actual original questions. So I would advise you not to use reported questions for your IELTS practice. Okay, but that's not related to Farida's question. I'm just saying. So the question would be something like this. Some people think that being competent at mathematics is more closely related to the person's innate talent than the education that they have had. Okay, do you agree or disagree? So you can't, so this question doesn't make sense. Do you agree or disagree? And I'm just saying, Farida, the way you've written it, it can't be do you agree or disagree, because sorry, I'm wrong. So it says that it's your natural talent is more important than your schooling. Do you agree? Do you agree that natural talent is more important for math skills, math ability, than the lessons that you have at school? Okay. Actually, I said disagree and began to talk about how schools and teaching methods can improve people's intelligence. Is it off topic or not? Because I didn't mention math in the essay. It sounds like it's off topic. Sorry, Farida. It sounds like it's off topic, because it specifically said math. And if you're talking about intelligence in general, no, you have to talk about the specific topic you've been asked to talk about. So it depends what score you need. But if you need a high score, there's a good chance that that mistake would stop you from getting a high score. If you're looking for a lower score, if you're looking for like a band 6 or something like that, your vocab, your grammar, your coherence and cohesion could be good enough that it will compensate for that mistake. But if you're looking for a band 7 or higher, normally having one particularly low band score is enough to stop you getting the score. Sorry, I wish I had better news than that, Farida, but based on what you've said, it sounds like your answer is not directly related to the question. Sir, I have seen your idea generation video, but I still have a problem in what I should do. So why or what problem are you having? And this is why, so I can teach you what to do, then you have to try to do it. And look, this is why, like on my IELTS writing course, like half the course is teaching you what to do and half the course is giving you feedback. Because when you know what to do, you try to do it. You're not going to do it perfectly, but the problem is you're not going to know the mistakes you're making. Because if you're trying to do it by yourself, of course you try your best, you try to do it as well as you can. But if you're making a mistake, how do you know what mistake you're making? Because you wouldn't make it if you knew it was a mistake, if you know what I mean. So it is important to get feedback on your work so that you do understand what the mistake is. So it sounds like you're at a position where you know what you're trying to do, but you're not sure if you're doing it. So it would really mean that you need to get your writing checked. Let me share another link with you here. I have an essay correction service that you can use. I don't have any places on my writing course at the moment, but I would have the availability to check like an essay or two for you. So here, I'll just share that link with you there. So what you really need at this point is you need to find out what it is that you're doing wrong so that you can stop making that mistake. So, without seeing your writing, it would be impossible for me to say the specific error that you're making with idea generation. Jubair, hello. What extent I should prepare myself for map in task 1? Oh, prepare yourself completely. Be completely ready for maps. I mean, let's say there's like a 1 in 8 chance that you'll get a map. So it's slim. But if it happens, if you go into the test and you haven't prepared for a map and then you get a map, that's the end of it. It's time to book a new test. That's basically, you're not going to get the score you need if that happens. So yeah, you have to prepare yourself completely. Prepare yourself for graphs, maps, processes. In task 2, prepare yourself for all the various question types. Like, don't go in under prepared. Go in knowing that whatever happens, you're good to go. So yeah, I wouldn't advise ignoring any question type for any part of the test. You need to be ready for whatever is coming. That'll make you much more confident going into the test as well. Hey Mozam, long time no here. Sir, I subscribed many times but didn't get any reply from you. I'm not sure what that's about, Sharafat, but if you have any questions, you can just email me here, lar@completetestsuccess.com. I'm not sure what reply. I definitely haven't got messages from you and ignored them intentionally. But if you're saying you did it many times, I mean, I'm pretty thorough in everything I do. So I'm not sure what messages you're sending me or where you're subscribing. If you want to give me more information now, I'll give you more support right now. If you want to just send me an email, we can talk via email. But I'm not sure what you're subscribing to, and I'm not sure where I should be replying. So please help me give me more information about that. Hi Arlene, could you please advise on matching headings in listening and reading as well? So matching headings would be only for reading. And so there are a few areas where students go wrong. Firstly, it depends on what strategy you're following. If you're following my strategy, pretty much the only problem that you'll have is your vocabulary level. There are other strategies. So it says, read the first and the last sentence as quickly as you can. And what happens is students read it so quickly that they finish reading it as quickly as they can, but so quickly that they didn't understand what it said. So they finished reading it, but the information wasn't processed. So that's something that happens a lot. Or it's, like you have to find out what the paragraph is about by skimming. So you're not allowed to read it. You have to skim it and kind of piece it together by seeing, a small number of words, and you have to try and patch it together and guess what it's about. Like those strategies are just so complicated. So like my reading strategy is you read the first paragraph, answer every question you can. Read the second paragraph, answer every question you can. So you'll end up reading through all the questions like a lot. You'll end up reading each question a lot instead of reading each paragraph a lot. It's much more straightforward. But what will happen then is, let's say you'll read the first paragraph and you won't know which heading you need to match. So you might have like potentially 2 headings, but you're not sure which one. And that's usually because when you read them, you don't see how they're different in meaning because you don't have the vocabulary to understand how they're different. And the solution to that is the long-term solution of improving your overall vocab level. So short-term, you'll have to guess. Long-term, it's you have to improve your vocab. So I'm pretty sure I've covered all the information that you've asked me for. If not, let me know. But I think I have everything there. Okay. Hey Decky, good to see you here again. Hey Stella. Hi sir, regarding last week's test, it was agree or disagree I was kind of confused because I was on the agree side, but I don't know whether I should have said something about the disagree side. Please clarify for me. No, you don't need to. All you need to do is say what you think and support your opinion. There's no need to talk about the other side. And again, it depends on the teacher. I mean, some teachers will say you should have the other side in your essay and mention them also. I think that's more complicated. I think it means that you have to think of more ideas. A lot of students find it difficult to generate relevant ideas. So I would say just say you completely agree, give 2 reasons for that. Or say you completely disagree, give 2 reasons for that. That's the most straightforward way to do it. And best of luck with your scores as well, Stella. Make sure to let me know how you get on. Hey, Gina. I'm talking about email subscriber, what you suggest for a speaking draw. Yep, that's perfect. You don't need to do anything else. So I'll do the draw on Thursday and I'll post it up in, I'll do a small post on Facebook and YouTube just so that people can see the draw. But no, you don't need to do anything else. That's completely fine. I'm struggling with multiple choice questions in listening. I can answer only 4 or 5 out of 15 to 20 listening part. I'm solving Cambridge 11. So much multiple choice in listening. So normally there are various types of multiple choice questions, and some of them have just the small options, but some of them have these really long, like 8-10 word options. So you end up with somewhere about 40 words that you need to read to find out what each one says. And also consider that each of those options is going to have 3 incorrect pieces of information and 1 correct. So it can sometimes be easier to just read that first part, be it the question or the first half of the sentence or whatever the multiple choice is. But instead of reading all the options, just find out what information you're listening for. When you find the answer, you'll know what the answer is. So instead of trying to see the 4 possible answers and choose the correct one, just find out what information you need. And when you hear the answer, you can go through them and check them. The other thing is that they're with the long ones, it really stresses students out because you have 30 seconds to prepare, and there are these really long, like short paragraphs, kind of that size of a question. So it's impossible to read all of those for me as well. It's impossible to read all of those before the audio starts. So what I'd suggest is like focus on those first, and then you'll have the shorter questions to try and read while the audio is playing. And the other thing then is to be aware of where in the audio you are. So there'll generally be like kind of broader topics that are discussed throughout. So they'll move from one topic to the next to the next. So they kind of go along like that. And generally, you don't want to read when they're in the thick of the detailed part of each topic. At the beginning of each topic, they kind of introduce it and talk about it in a more vague way just to set the context. And that's a good time to focus and read the questions. And then when they are getting into the detail, getting into the nitty gritty, you want to focus on the audio, not spend your time reading. Because if you're reading the questions, you won't hear the answer. And of course, you're not going to get it right that way. So yeah, you need to kind of balance it out like that. So there's a lot going on with listening. You need to just get really competent at answering, finding the answers and following the format. But as well as that, then, like maybe your English listening skills aren't great. Maybe your vocab isn't good enough. So it's not, the solution for everyone isn't, the solution for everyone isn't doing more and more practice tests. You also need to figure out why, if there's some other factor involved. So if it is, and for a lot of students, it is the fact that they don't have the vocabulary, to get a higher score. So if that's the case for you, you need to stop doing practice tests until you've improved your vocab. So I think I've helped there, and let me know if you need more information about that. Yep. Okay, hopefully you don't need to, but either way, let me know, Stella. Sir, I have difficulty with generating main ideas, and whenever I generate any, I feel like it's wrong and it doesn't make any sense. So again, I'd need to see what's wrong with your ideas, but there are only really two problems that a main idea can have. It's not relevant, and that means it's not about the question, or it's too vague, which means you need to dig deeper into that. So like a typical, like, when that's again why it's so important to plan your essay, but after you write down your ideas, you need to look at each one and go, is this about what the question has asked me to discuss? If the answer is yes, okay. If the answer is no, remove it. Then with each idea, if it's already relevant, you need to check if it's specific. And if an idea is specific, it's basically like the person who's reading it won't know what you're thinking. And a typical one is like the word convenient. Like the word convenient is the epitome of a vague idea. So if you say like, what are the advantages of shopping online? Oh, it's convenient. But no, that's not specific, because I don't know why you think it's convenient. So ideas like that aren't appropriate. You need a specific idea. But the thing is, if your idea is vague, you don't need to remove it in the way you did with an irrelevant idea. You just need to dig deeper. So it's like, why is it convenient? So you might say, well, because you can save time because you don't need to go to the shop. Okay, that's a specific idea. Now I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking it saves time. But when you're saying it's convenient, well, then I don't know why you think it's convenient. So that's what you need. That's it. That's basically all it is. If you can think of ideas that are specific and relevant, your ideas are good. If your ideas have either of those issues, they're not good, and that's it. They're the only factors you need to consider when you're generating ideas: relevant and specific. That's it. No such thing as a good, entertaining, unique, anything else. You're not getting higher scores for that. Relevant, specific. If you can do that, you're good to go. Good. Thanks, Stella. I got stuck in big option. Big option. Yeah. So reading those really long multiple choice questions and listening. Yeah, nobody can finish them. Well, if you focus on only them, you might be able to finish them. But you have those and the other question types also in that same part of the listening test. It's very difficult to read them all. So you might want to just focus on those first, as I was saying earlier on. And you're very welcome. Matimba. Hi, Leo. I'm from Zambia. I'm writing an IELTS on 23rd. I have 2 weeks to prepare. I'd appreciate any tips for reading test. So get some practice. Get some practice IELTS reading tests. Don't use the free fake reading tests online, because they're different question types. They're different difficulty levels. You won't take as much time to complete them. It might take longer. It might take shorter. That doesn't matter. What you need is the ones that Cambridge has produced, because those are the only ones that are reliable. So you'll need to go to a bookshop, get one of them, so that you are getting, the right input. And then, like I said earlier, just make sure you're reading one paragraph. So read the first paragraph. So each reading test has 3 passages. So start with the first passage, read the first paragraph. Once you've read the first paragraph, look at all the questions for that passage, answer as many of them as you can, then move on to the next paragraph and do it that way. It's much, much easier. Harleen, thank you. No problem. I get confused with 2 options to answer the question. Yeah, I'm trying to get better day by day by practicing the mistakes. Yeah, so that's in relation to matching headings for reading. So for everyone else, that's the vocab issue. So it just depends. I mean, if you're already getting the scores you need, then just guess. If you are far below the score you need, then the only solution is actually improving your vocab. Okay, Sharafat. Sir, if I use complex and compound sentences in speaking and writing, but use simple and topical words, will it reduce my score? Those are different scores. So you're talking about grammar and vocab, and they're separate. You get separate scores for vocab and grammar. So using complex and compound sentences will help your grammar score, but it will have no influence on your vocab score. So, you can get a good high score in grammar and a low score in vocab, or you can get, it can go vice versa. They don't influence each other. Simple and topical words will reduce my score. So what you mean by simple words, because that will change for everybody. If you talk to somebody who studied English for 1 year, what they consider to be a simple word will not be the same as somebody who's been studying English for 10 years. So it's subjective. It's subjective. What you think simple words are will change as you go along. And generally, what people think of as simple words are words that they can use perfectly every single time. And really, that's what you want to go for. Because if you can use it perfectly, then you're going to have very clear communication and you're going to have good level of accuracy. So when you're in the speaking and the writing test, don't take risks with vocab, because a lot of students do that. They think like, oh, I have to show how good my vocab is, and they're afraid that their level isn't good enough. So they use vocab that they think makes them sound like they're better, but really they're just using words that they can't use. It doesn't, in a lot of cases, it doesn't make sense, and that results in a lower score. So I know I'm not directly answering your question, but use simple and topical word. I mean, it's what you're describing sounds like what you should do. But it just depends on your definition of simple. So I can't confidently answer it, but I think I've given you the information you need. Hi, Bensi. But listening is more challenging. Yeah, everybody has different parts of the test that they find difficult. Listening wouldn't be the typical one, to be honest. Normally, students would struggle more with speaking or writing than with reading and listening, which is why most scores for reading and listening are higher than speaking and writing. But again, find out why is it challenging for you? Like, what do you need to do to address that and get the score that you need? So that's what you need to consider. Okay. That seems to be all the questions. Not as many as usual. It's probably a good sign. People are getting on well. If you don't have any more questions, then we'll wrap it up a little bit early today. Again, so we were talking about the speaking test lucky draw. And my sorry, trying to type and write at the same time, or type and speak at the same time. So we were talking about my speaking test lucky draw and my live feedback lessons on Zoom. So to subscribe for them, you can use that link here. So just click on the link, sign up, and then you'll have access to all that stuff. Hello, Facebook user. Hello, Straboni. Nice name. Hey, Happy. A long time no see. Good to see you back here. Please, how do they mark the written exam? They use the band descriptors and they see where you fit in for task achievement, coherence, cohesion, vocab, and grammar. So obviously there's training for the examiners first. We don't just know how to do it immediately. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, you have the band descriptors, you look at the piece of writing and you go, okay, for task achievement they've done this or they've made that mistake, so this is the score. For the next one, this is the score. That's it. You get a bunch of essays and you just see where they fit into the band descriptors. It's nothing too exciting or surprising, to be honest. Fisnick. Hey, Lar, no questions here. Just wanted to thank you for all your work. Keep it up, sir. Thank you. Much appreciated. I am Bangladeshi and I want to do the IELTS exam for general training. Please help me about reading and speaking. There's a lot to cover there. I would say you're on Facebook. What I would recommend is go to my Facebook page. Just click on the video section and you'll see stuff for reading and speaking there. I think that would be the easiest way to find it. You can search for my website, Complete Test Success. You can find my YouTube channel, but I mean, I see you're on Facebook, so that would probably be the easiest way for you. I started teaching after learning a lot from you. Very good. And students are quite happy with the information I provide. Excellent. Well done. Man, happy. Good to hear. Is it possible to practice speaking with me live? Yes. Yeah, I have that service as well. Do it on Zoom. And it's basically just do a full practice test and then give you your scores, tell you why you got those scores, and tell you specifically what areas you need to work on to improve your scores. Yep, I do that. I have a speaking course as well, but like I said, my courses are full at the moment. But let me just share that with you. You will find that service on my website here. Decky, good. That's what we're here for. Good to hear. How do I book with you? So that is practice IELTS speaking test. So on the page, you'll see the service, and once you make the payment, you get access to my calendar. So you'll just have all the dates and times I'm available, and you choose whichever one suits you. And then the software just sets it all up, makes the event, sends you the Zoom link, does everything. So it's as simple as that. It's like just click the date, click the time, and then the software does everything else. How can I get band 5 in every sub? Well, just learn how to do each part of the test, prepare for everything. But like I was saying, on my Facebook page, go to the video section, you'll see videos on all those, on all the various areas. Hey Shira, long time no see. Good to see you back here. Okay, looks like that's everyone's questions answered. I'm going to do another one of these this time next week. On Thursday, I have, what do I have? A lesson on academic task 1. So join me for that. And like I said, if you haven't already subscribed for my live feedback lessons, click on that and you can join me. There's one tomorrow. So you can join me there and I'll have more support for you over there on Zoom. Okay, so let's leave it at that for today. Good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. Best of luck in the IELTS test if any of you have a test coming up before I see you next. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of the week and talk to you soon.